Hey everybody, John Gruber here with cookingwithjohngrouber.com. Today I'm going to show you how I make rice. Now I'm sure you're saying, John, you don't need a video to show me how to make rice. I know how to make it. The instructions say 2 parts water to 1 part rice. Let me tell you something about that. You are going to end up with the mushiest rice possible. And I don't necessarily like that. So let me show you what I do. So today I'm working with a basic basmati rice. This is a long grain rice and it is perfect for, Indian dishes if you're going to be adding some toasted fennel seed or toasted cumin. I really enjoy those flavors in the rice and then topped with other ingredients as almost like a sauce or a gravy. So the first thing we are going to do today with our basmati rice is we are going to rinse it. And I'm just rinsing it to remove any dust or any debris, maybe even some chaff that's still left on the rice that we don't want to eat. And I purchased my rice in bulk bags. Now I know the bulk bags are the cheaper option. However, when they're in the pantry for a while and they are sealed, they may still collect a little bit of dirt from the air. So we're going to quickly just rinse the rice with some fresh clean water, and then we're going to continue to make the rice. So let me just put that in a fine mesh strainer. Now this fine mesh strainer I have had for years. In fact, I think my grandmother had for years too. So it's been around. And it doesn't have to be anything special, just so that your rice doesn't go through. And then I'm just going to take the cold water and just rinse the rice real quick, removing any of those starches, because I don't need to use this for puddings, because in that case you would leave the starches on. And this is just something that I've learned also when making sushi rice. You want to rinse and rinse and rinse sushi rice. Today we're not working with short grain rice, so we're just going to strain this off a little bit. In fact, the next step is I have my 1 cup of rice, and take the pot here. Let me move this off to the side. I use 1 part to 1 part. Okay, so 1 part to 1 part. I'm sorry, I used 2 fingers. 1 part rice to 1 cup of water. So like it's 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water. I'm just going to put that in my pot here. So that's 1 cup. And then, now there's a couple of different options here. If you start your boil with the lid off, use 1/4 cup. If you are like me and want to save energy, I always try and start a boil with the lid on, because that lid on is going to retain some of the heat and you will get more energy savings and a faster boil in a shorter amount of time by starting with the lid on. Now, obviously you want to take the lid off and after it's boiling, because you don't want it splashing about. But because I'm starting with the lid on, I'm going to take my 1/4 cup and guesstimate 1/8 of a cup. But if you're going to start a boil with the lid off, use the 1/4 cup. Now this 1/4 cup is only for evaporation, because when you start a boil, the water will evaporate. But because I'm putting the lid on, all the vapors that come up cool off on the lid and drop back down in the pot, so I don't need that extra water. Okay, next step, bring this to a boil. So they say a watched pot never boils, but when you put the lid on, it absolutely boils a lot quicker. And look at all that steam that just came out of there. Don't burn yourself on it. Just gonna get some of that water off the lid. Put that right there. And I'm just going to take all of this rice actually, and put it right in, even though I've rinsed it, put it right into the pot. And again, it's a quick rinse. It's not necessarily a full-on like bath. And the rice is in there. The water turned just a little starchy. You may be able to see that through the steam. Gave it a good stir, turning my heat off and putting the lid back on to allow the heat to steam. And that should take anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, maybe even a half hour. And when it's done, it will be perfectly cooked, fluffy, fork tender. Well, not that you could stab a fork in it, but you'll be able to just fluff it up with a fork. It's going to be a wonderful texture, nice and individual grains. We will check it out as soon as it's done steaming. The basmati rice was steaming in the pot with the lid on after it was removed from the heat. And now we're just going to check it out because it's nice and warm. And if you can see, it's got great individual kernels. The rice fluffs up. There's no liquid on the bottom. And it is fully cooked, ready to serve. Thanks for joining me today on how to cook your rice perfectly. And I mean, every time it's going to be perfect. So I'm just going to help myself to a little bit here. Okay, maybe a lot more. I'm just going to put some sauce on this. I have some, what is it, a vindaloo sauce, and I'm just going to pour over the rice and enjoy it for lunch. So again, thank you for joining me on this video. Remember to subscribe and tap that little bell for the notifications. Also, if you want to catch up more videos and more instructional videos with video lessons, you can find those on my website at cookingwithjohngrouber.com. Thanks for joining me. I'm hungry. Let's eat.